Welcome to the first of the Dreamweaver series of tutorial videos. My name is Stanley and I'll be walking you through the Dreamweaver interface today. So to start Dreamweaver, there's two ways you can go about doing that. You can click Start, go to Programs, find the Macromedia folder, and then click on the Macromedia Dreamweaver MX 2004. Or, if you're lucky, you may have the Dreamweaver shortcut icon on your desktop, and if you double click that, the program should open up like this. Now, for today's demo, I'm going to pretend that I am creating a new web page. So I'm going to click Create New and HTML, and that will open up a new document. Now, this is the interface that you will be using over the next couple of classes. And the most important part of this interface is the part that is right here. This big white area is called the document window. And basically whatever happens inside this area, whatever you add, whatever you change, whatever you move around, that will determine the appearance of your web page. So this document window is similar to Flash's stage. Okay, basically this is where we're going to do all our work. Now also on the right hand side there is this area here. This is called our panel group. Now in this area here, basically there are panels that you can expand and close, and these panel groups organizes different panels that have functions. Okay, and so later on we may be using some of these panels to improve or alter our web page. Okay, now of course if these panels are in your way, you can click this arrow here to move the panels off to the side, or you can click this to make them reappear. Okay, so that's one way you can expand your document window so you have more room to work here. Another similar panel that we have here that is similar to Flash is what we call the Properties panel, and this panel can be again made to appear or disappear by clicking this arrow, and the Properties selector gives us functions to modify different objects within our document window. Right now there aren't any objects, but depending on what type of object you're working with, the properties inspector down here may change. Okay, so it all depends on what you're doing in this area. And if it was a picture, you would have properties that would allow you to modify the picture. If you have text, you would be allowed to modify the text. Okay. Another important menu that you'll see is the main menu, and we're not going to spend much time talking about this because the main menu groups most of the more important functions together. So depending on the function, you can click the appropriate menu item. Okay, and you can choose from different functions within that menu. Okay, Dreamweaver's got some very unique buttons and functions. Right here, this is called the insert bar. Okay, and this insert bar lets us insert different types of objects into our web page. Now later on we're going to be adding images and adding hyperlinks, and so later on some of these buttons will be used quite often. Okay, and also you can find more objects and more groupings by clicking the down arrow right here. Okay, Now, on the top of our document window, there's something called the document toolbar right here. Now, this document toolbar, first of all, has a tab, and the tab gives you the name of the document you're working on. Right now, this document is called Untitled 1. If I save this document and give it a name, then that name I give it will appear here. Right under the Title tab, there are 3 buttons, and right now the Design button is selected. Design view means that whatever you see here is what you'll get in your finished product. So the design view lets us design by making modifications directly to the document. However, some people like to make web pages by coding the web page. That means typing out the instructions and the code. And if you want to see the code for a web page, you can click the code view, and that will show you the code that would give you that web page. Now, some people like to work with both code and they want to see what the design looks like at the same time, and so that's why there's also a third view called Code and Design View. By clicking the split button, you get to see the code on the top, and you get to see what the document looks like on the bottom. Okay. However, in this course, we'll be using the design view most of the time, and so just make sure that button is selected. Right next to the design button, there's what's called a title box, and whatever is typed in here will become the title for that web page. Okay. We'll be using this later on. And one final thing is down here, this doesn't look like anything, it just says body, but this actually has a name as well. This is called the tag selector. And the tag selector basically lets you see and choose the type of tag that you are working with. We'll talk more about tags later. And over to the right, at the bottom of the document window, there's also a little bit of extra information that's useful. Right here, this tells you the window size. So basically, this tells you how much area your web page is currently taking up, and the unit is in pixels. So for example, right now mine is 1266 by 482. Okay, that's the window size. And also, right here, it shows you the file size. If this document was a web page, it would only be 1 kilobyte in size. And this tells you approximately how many seconds it would take to load up this page. Now, of course, mine is empty, so that's why the file size is so small and the time it takes to load up is so short. If you had lots of objects and lots of pictures and other things in your web page, these numbers would increase accordingly. Okay, so there you go. That's the main. Those are the most important things about the Dreamweaver interface. If you need to, please feel free to watch this video again and familiarize yourself with all the different panels, the property inspector, and the document window. And later on, we'll be using more of these panels and functions for our project.